This is my peach tree, and it's blooming. The thing is, it's October, and it shouldn't be blooming. So, what's going on here? Well, this is called a false bloom. It's blooming pretty heavy. Just as much as it normally would during a summer or a spring. Maybe more so. This is actually very common in Florida, Central Florida, South Florida, with peach trees, plums, apples, pears. Very, very common. So, let's discuss what's going on here. Like I said, this is called a false bloom. And it's really not something to panic over. Usually speaking, you only get a handful of blooms. Sometimes you get this. And sometimes it'll set fruit. And as long as you don't get a frost, that fruit will keep going right through the winter and ripen at the normal time that it normally would ripen. In this case, late April, early May. But what causes this? Why is this tree blooming? Well, it's because of a phenomenon that we have down here in the deep south, where your tree actually goes dormant twice a year. Not quite the same way as the normal winter dormancy. As you see here, if I can get it to come into focus, it's setting fruit. It's setting fruit in October. Well, see, most people are used to their trees going full dormant, dropping all their leaves in the fall or the winter. And then they wake up in the spring and they bloom. And there's another one. There's another peach setting. Well, here in Florida, it gets so brutally hot for so long, and the solar radiation is so intense that many trees go into a form of survival mode, of a type of dormancy. And it's simply because of that unrelenting heat. It just hammers them. They don't grow at all. Usually from mid-June all the way through September. They're just trying to survive. Sometimes they even drop a good amount of their leaves. This year, this one dropped about 80% of its leaves during that summer dormancy. Well, now it's cooled down. So, the tree is waking back up. And just like in spring, it'll bloom. And it will set fruit. That fruit will not ripen for months. It'll go all the way through the winter. And the fruit will ripen just like it would if it had woke up in the spring, sometimes a few weeks early. A lot of different trees do this, not just your peaches. So far this year, I have had 3 pear trees bloom. One of which was its first bloom, which was nice. Of course, it didn't bloom at the same time as the other one, so almost pointless. This tree will often bloom, and it had a few. This is a normal pattern. I was hoping it might still have a couple on it because it did the other day, but it doesn't appear to. This is a normal pattern here in Florida, where trees bloom at the strangest of times. And I see it year after year on the garden forums where people completely freak out. Something must be wrong with their pear tree, their apple tree, their peach tree. There's nothing wrong. It's coming out of summer dormancy, so it's going to bloom. And you see right here, this pear tree is blooming in late October. This is its first bloom. It's a nice pear tree. First time it's ever bloomed. And what do I get but a false bloom? Doesn't mean they don't set fruit. They often do, as that peach tree is. This pear tree bloom, only a couple of blooms. And that pear tree bloomed. And at the Florida home, it blooms twice a year. Every spring and every fall. So when you see these blooms, don't freak out. Now, in the literature dealing with this, they'll often tell you to pick them off. And if you are in a frost-prone area, that's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. But this isn't really a frost-prone area. I might get a frost. I might not. What I do know is I have peaches. I have blooms. And it's October.